What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Old Terps podcast, brought to you by one of the big dogs, Andy T. I had a hell of a weekend, let me tell you.
What'd you do this weekend, Drew? Tell us about it.
Start us off. Had a hell of a weekend. Actually went to dinner with Harry Geller, local Maryland legend. Talk shop, a couple $1 million ideas. I might be a billionaire in a week. Doesn't matter.
I don't hate that.
That's the guy you want in your corner.
Hell yeah.
That it is. This is Travis here, Brooklyn, New York, as usual. Quiet weekend. I went to solid core today, fellas. Got a little workout in.
About time.
Mr. CrossFit down there fucking doing pull up, standing lunges with benches tied to his back. Yes,
I gotta say this real fast. I gotta say this real quick. Reese, when we went to Barcelona last year, bro, I remember walking to so we had like this big villa. Everybody had a different room. Bro, I remember walking back to Reese's area. This dude's on the bed doing push-ups, shirtless, at like 6:30 in the morning. We're just getting home. He's like, dude, I gotta rip these out or I'm gonna miss work. I'm like, dog, I'm going to
vacation. We're on vacation.
Right. You got to get it in. Nope. So you got Reese Mona here, still in Maryland, and per their conversation, did get a workout in today, so nothing new here.
What'd you do today, Reese? Tell us what your workout was like, Reese.
Ran
15 miles, swam 10 more miles.
So we're stuck in between houses, so I got baby weights, so I had to mix up with the bar and 30-pound dumbbells. Got 500 reps in of bench. That's it. Easy day.
What?
It's lightweight. So
who does shit like that?
500 reps?
For what?
You gotta love it. I'll do 500 reps of squats. You should try that one. You can't walk the next 2 days.
You won't do 50 push-ups right now for the camera.
I made a 200 meters. I did a 200-meter sprint on Tuesday. Puked everywhere.
Now, in my defense,
it was cold.
I was gonna say, yeah. What happened to that hamstring thing? You were like, hamstring was off the bone, and he was running on the track.
Yeah, next week he was running on the track.
Back. Hang on, that was in August. I've rehabbed it. I'm back.
We know how Andrew is with injuries. Oh, it's broken.
Oh,
sure.
Wow.
Quickest recovery from a torn hamstring in history. He's better than Aaron Rodgers. Actually,
Kevin's wild for saying that though, because he's the one who essentially broke.
I did not treatment on their ass, bro, and you guys are sitting there laughing at me because I'm defying odds.
This guy thinks he's Aaron Rodgers. Are you kidding me?
Literally, bro.
Dude, I literally
got a little strained hammy. It's off the bone.
He said he couldn't walk.
A
week later, he was sprinting. He was doing 100-meter shuttle sprints.
It's not true. You know what my favorite part of this whole thing is? Another Big Ten guy, Connor McCaffrey, sitting right next to me. He was there when I tore the hamstring off the bone. He even said what I did over that span of 3 weeks was nothing short of amazing. I was on a clay tennis court, and we took a picture of it, which we're going to put now online. There's the slide mark, pure athleticism. Then I hit a little bump, went up in the air about 2 to 3 feet back to the floor, another 6 feet after the slide. In that 6 feet, something got all fucked up in the leg.
Not following. In other news, Keegan Murray, 47 last night for the Sac Kings. Unconscious, fellas.
Dude,
barely hitting the rim.
I don't understand.
He wasn't hitting the rim.
Okay, Kevin, you got to elaborate on this. Why did you guys? Maybe that's his rotation to come out of the game. Why do you guys take him out with 10 left in the fourth and then bring him back in while he's ice cold? Just let the man keep chucking.
Let him play 48.
So player-wise, we were pleading with our coaches to leave him in. So he played the whole third quarter, didn't come out. He was supposed to come out to start the fourth. We were talking to our assistants like, you have to let him go. Like, screw the 50 ball. He's at 12 threes. Record's 14, fellas. Yeah. He might not get to this point ever in your career. Like, this is a potentially career night. I mean, he's second year. He couldn't find it.
Get to that point in his career.
He's a cyborg, dude. He just gets. You saw. He just it was knockdown, and So they threw him back out there because he finished the third on a heater. So they threw him back out there to start the fourth. And I think he was in for like 15 straight game minutes, which is like, all right, you got to. We're also up 30. At some point, you kind of got to, you pull the plug if he's not hitting. So then they made a little run, cut it to, I think, 14 from 30, put us all back in and close the deal. But it was like, it was one of those deals I don't think in the moment until like mid through the third quarter where I was like, yo, I don't think this dude is missed. And it was not, and then like you could tell like each three he made, the crowd got more and more into it. But it was like everyone was kind of sleepwalking a little bit. And you're like, yo, Keegan's 9 to 10 from three. Like what's going on? And this guy's not celebrating. He's like running back on defense.
Yeah, he
like,
didn't.
oh.
He didn't even smile.
That's the biggest thing. That's what I was looking at. I was like, wow, this guy's he's scored the angriest 45 in his life. Dude didn't have any fun.
And it was easy. And like the thing with him, and he's going to work on it. Like he's going to add more wiggle into his game. Like, you know, his shot creation, similar to a lot of guys in the league. Like that's the part of his game that's got to come along. But straight shooting in terms of just catch and shoot the ball, like the guys can go in just automatic modes. Like he's a special shooter. So last night was one of those nights, like he didn't take a lot of dribbles. A lot of it was catch and shoot, catch, jab, shoot. And you saw it. It was back rim down, like every single one.
Not a lot of guys can go make 12 3-point shots in an NBA game. So
12 of 13 misses. I think it was 12, finished 12 of 15, but 12 of 13.
It's crazy.
It's insane. That's insane. I think like I would love to know the numbers when Steph and Clay did it, when they got there. You know, Clay had the 12, I think, in 3 quarters in Chicago. I'm not sure. I think Steph is highest is 13. I think Clay's the 14, which is the record. Would love to know as we're going through this what their final percentage was.
Luckily, we have a math data wizard in Reese Mona, who in the next 45 seconds will be able to let us know.
We'll be able to find this out.
Fucking Jimmy Neutron over there.
Yeah.
That's why his head's so big.
Literally.
All right, Aaron Rodgers.
I wouldn't even shit on you that hard. Why? This is the one thing I don't like about our friend group. It doesn't matter if somebody just throws an absolute nuclear warhead out there. If somebody comments on the backside of that, somehow the guy that just threw a little subtle point in there gets flamed. And it's ridiculous. It's every time. Kevin will ruin your life. And then Travis will be like, yeah. And then somehow whoever Kevin's life got ruined, he gets Travis and not Kevin. It's absurd. Or it's just Brennan, you know, on the extreme back end. But that to each his own. It is what it is. Speaking of shooting, the Maryland Terrapins, hey, we shot the ball a little bit better. Even better for us, we've got a treat today. Brent Petty, he's going to be in town. He's jumping on the pod, which we're about to listen to here in about, let's say, 30 seconds. After that pod, stay remaining on the line. We're going over Nicholls, and then we're going to preview the old UCLA run. You know, it's going to be better this year than it was last year. At least let's pray to God.
Hopefully.
So without further ado, let's jump right into that interview, Mr. Brent Petty.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very, very special guest with us this week. He goes by the name of Brent Petty, current video coordinator. Mr. 94 Feet video coordinator at the University of Maryland this year. He was with us, I think, as a GA my last couple of years. Drew Reese went to joined the Pistons for a few years. They have since lost 80 games in a row since he's left. So you know, we could say maybe that was attributed to him. He's now back with the Terps as video coordinator, instrumental in developing Sticks and Bruno, I'd say. Worked out a lot of guys. Pause. But yeah, we're happy to have him on the show today. What's going on, BP?
Appreciate y'all having me on, man. That was a great welcome, even though, you know, Kev didn't want to introduce me. I remember that.
I don't want to mess up any of the titles. I'm glad Travis got that. Basketball ops, Piston.
I got you. But I appreciate y'all having me on, man. Like Trav said, 2 years as a GA. You know, you forgot to mention Wiggs. You know, I was working out Wiggs as well.
Wiggs too. Three pros.
Yeah, so I was GA for 2 years. work with the Pistons in the front office, help out with the scouting department. And then after a year with the Pistons, Coach Turgeon called me back. I wanted to bring me back home as video coordinator. So I was fortunate enough to come home, kind of be where I was at 2 years before that. And then kind of just, everybody knows Terps quit, which was unfortunate. But was fortunate enough to stay on with Coach Willard and his staff, and going into year 3 as video coordinator, and get an opportunity to actually be an on-court assistant coach now. So I'm working the guys out more. I'm having scouting reports, instrumental, more day-to-day operations around the program, which is kind of what I want to do, and back on that player development side. So our season, we're 6-4 right now. Got a few big games coming up. So just excited to get back to the tournament like we did last year.
Now, Brent, let me ask you this. I'll start with a little softball lob here.
Gosh.
First off, people forget Brent. He used to try to guard me full court in the practice days. One of the easiest get up the courts of all time. Just a little side to side,
little jab and go.
Exactly, little jab and go. Didn't even need the escort from the big guy throwing the ball in. But here, I'll ask you this. Could you outshoot the entire Maryland men's basketball team right now?
Be careful before you answer that, Brent. Be very careful.
We'll say we hit 14 threes last game.
There you go.
That is correct.
It was a little slack. Everybody talks about our shooting. We're a young team. We're playing 2 freshmen. Some of our returners from last year aren't shooting as well as we hoped they would be this year. But it's a confidence thing. Coach Willard, what he does really well, he's really big on player development. He worked with the Celtics and Rick Pitino when he first got out of college. And, his biggest thing was player development. He was on the floor every day working the dudes out. So he's kind of like transitioned that to Maryland. He did a great job at Seton Hall with guys like Sandro Mamasvili, Jared Roden. Everybody knows Miles Powell. So he's kind of took that trend over here to Maryland. You look at a kid like Deshaun Harris-Smith, who was shooting 2 for 20-something for 3, and he hits 3 threes last game. That's a testament to, our staff and Coach Willard. He's been in the gym with him every morning at 8:30, getting them shots with him, and it's just constant. I mean, guys are missing, but we're in the gym. Like we were supposed to have a 2-a-day today. Thank God we didn't. But we stay in the gym, and the tide's going to turn. We're going to start hitting shots. I hope.
Are you looking at it as people start getting used to and comfortable to the moment? We talked about that a couple times on a couple episodes. Young guys, it's tough to get into a rhythm if you don't start in a rhythm, and then it's tough to get back into it if you ever lose it, like Anthony Cowan, etc. So, are you guys expecting percentages to play out from when they're in high school, or just more comfort?
I think the biggest thing with us, and I'm sure you guys can see the way we play so freaking hard. Like we play so hard, trap, we press the whole game. I think guys are just getting used to the speed. The speed of the game. Like high school to college is totally different. But then when you talk about like the way we play, where we're pressing, the whole game and having legs on your shot and not shooting with your arms. So just learning that way. Like we dealt with it last year. I remember like Don Carey was struggling to shoot beginning of the season, but he shot like 40% at Georgetown, but he was just getting used to playing in a system like Coach Willard, where we're getting up and down, we're pressing. Like we play so hard, we practice so hard. So guys are just kind of you have to get used to that. And once they get kind of used to that towards, the middle of the season, we're hoping that like, okay, like they know that like, hey, it's, second half, 10 minutes to go in the game. Let me use more legs on my shot. Let me, maybe dry the close out. Let me take better shots. So that's just kind of what we're, hoping the guys can get used to. And, even though it was Alcorn State, it was just really good to, see the ball go in for our guys.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about, like, obviously to start this season, everybody, that's all they've talked about is the shooting. And it's always funny to me, like, especially all of us being players, like fans from the outside just assume that we have no idea that you're shooting the ball bad. Like everybody is very aware of how things are going, and unsurprising that guys are in the gym. We heard about some of the 2 days or potential 2 days you guys are doing, which is just a testament to how you guys are working. So I'm glad to see that. Over the course of this whole stretch, was there a change in how you guys coached? Was there something different you guys have been saying? What was the message that you were talking with through, especially we'll say the freshmen who had a rough shooting start to the season. Did your guys' approach or coaching ever change with them?
Yeah, I mean, like we wanted to relieve the pressure on the offensive end. So we're like, hey guys, just guard your ass off. I mean, we're ranked top 20 in all defensive metrics this year, scoring, 3-point shooting, 2-point field goal percentage, and overall defense in the whole country. So like we're like, hey guys, our offense is going to come. Like just rebound, defend. Like Jamie Kaiser, for example, I've kind of taken him under my wing. He reminds me a lot of Aaron Wiggins, just like his work ethic and just like whole persona and just like he's a great kid. He's in the gym. We're watching film. Like we watched the whole game the other day, Alcorn State, the other morning, like 8:30. He didn't have any classes. He was done with the exam. He's like, hey Brent, let's watch the full game. That's just the type of kid he is. And I'm like, hey Jamie, like before when you get in the game, like if you saw like the first couple of games, he was just like firing off shots and just taking, really tough, shots and just playing really fast. I'm like, hey, go get an offensive rebound, go get a steal, go get, just do something else on the defensive end that'll get your offensive going. That's kind of been the overall message that Coach Wheeler has given the guys, as we wait for the offense to come along, as we wait for shots to start hitting, like, hey, let's just be an elite defensive team. Let's just, you know, some games are going to be some rock fest. As you guys know in the Big Ten, like when you play the Wisconsins, you play, the Michigan States, it's going to be slow. It's going to be, a slugfest. Let's guard. Let's pride ourselves in defensive end, and then the offense will come. So that's kind of the message that we kind of like, tune to the guys.
Yeah, and we could kind of tell. I think Travis, myself, Reese, we were there before the season started, and I think you could feel the coaching staff was very high on Jamie. He's someone that we've talked about a lot on this podcast as being someone that, if this team gets him playing well, it's a different team. The ability to space the floor, another scoring option. Who do you think, I'll say outside of Jameer, outside of Juju, who do you think like this team's X factor is? Like if he's playing well, you guys are at a different level, or you guys can potentially go to a different level. Is there anyone specific?
I mean, the obvious answer is Dante Scott. I mean, he's a fifth-year senior. He has over 1,000 points. He has over 500 rebounds. He kind of knows that he should be playing better, and I think he will. He struggled here and there, a few games this season, but if you look back last year, when we played well, like against West Virginia in the tournament, against Minnesota in the Big Ten tournament, the first game to see the first game of the Big Ten tournament, like he played well. When we played, in Mohegan Sun last year against St. Louis and Miami, like Dante played really well. So in order for us to reach like our ceiling and really be a tournament team and be a team that like teams are afraid of, or be in the top half of the Big Ten, we obviously need Dante Scott to be, Dante Scott. And I think he understands that. And, he had a great practice today. That's one thing about him. I mean, through the ups and downs of the season, like he still comes to practice, plays his, tail off, and, is playing really hard. And that's what he does during the game. I mean, even against Penn State, like, he wasn't having the best of game, but, he got the and one. He got a big offensive rebound. He got the big defensive rebound at the end of regulation. So he's doing everything else on the floor well. He's being a great teammate. So I think we can get him to be playing at a Big Ten level. I think that takes our team to another level.
Underrated on Tay. I think he's like on pace to finish his career. I think like first in games played, he'll be top 10 or something like that in rebounding, top 15 or something like that in scoring. Maybe like I think he's gotten a lot of criticism this year for probably playing not quite as well as he had hoped, but underrated. Like he's had a good career. He's
Yeah, and
been
and
for
people don't
years.
people don't realize like he's also playing at a whole new position. He's playing at the three this year. So you look at the past 4 years at Maryland. He played at the four. He even played at the five. Reese during your COVID season, where he had five men chasing him around the perimeter. He was able to get to the rim. Now he's playing at the three. He's not having that slow footed Tyler Wall guarding him, or other four men in the league, Race Thompsons of the world guarding him, where he's able to kind of get by. He's having other wings like Mackenzie Macombo from Indiana. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he's having wings and guards guard him, so he's having to adjust. So he's learning a whole new position. That he hasn't played for us. It's only 10 games into the season, and our biggest thing with him is just having the right mindset each and every day, coming in, wanting to get better, and just putting the team first, and individually wise, like things will get better for him.
Yeah, and that's a great point you mentioned about Dante. People don't realize that because you're like, he's a fifth-year senior. Why is he not starting off on the right foot? Well, like you said, he's switching positions. He was a 4, he was a 5 during my year, and now he's back to a 3.
Yep.
So just him getting used to that. So pivoting here to, I know because you're in a pretty unique situation to where you were on Turgeon staff,
Yep.
as you said, and then you maintained for Willard staff. It's pretty rare in college basketball because you see coaches come in, they wipe the slate clean. But for you, it was you stayed, Kyle Terps stayed, the strength coach. Greg Manning stayed. So
Big
it's pretty
Matt.
awesome he kept those guys. Big Matt's still there. Yeah.
Reese just want to talk about his pops, Kyle Terp. He won't give Big Matt no love.
Yeah.
His stepdad, Kyle Terp.
Shout out Big Matt.
His favorite
Shout out
son.
Big Matt. And then, but for you, Brent, and you can talk about whatever you'd like to on this, but do you see any differences or similarities between the way Turgeon ran a program and coached versus Willard? I know you already talked about two-a-days in season. We rarely did that, and it sounds like you've already had a couple of those with Willard.
Yeah, I would say they're a lot similar than people think. They're a lot similar, and then they're also different in certain ways as well. As far as like coaching styles, and they definitely have different terminology and different styles. Coach Turgeon was more defensively. He was like, he wanted everything to be solid. He wanted, he didn't, if you look at, our numbers, like turnover percentage, we never had we weren't a big type of team. Like we weren't trying to force turnovers. We just wanted to be solid. We wanted to force everything to the middle. We never ice ball screens. We really just whiten off. So he was very just like staying connected. Whereas like Coach Willard is like, all right, we're going to pick up 94 feet. Let's gamble. Let's play fast. Let's, force teams turnovers. We're playing zone. We play zone a lot. Play a matchup zone. So they're different that way. And then just like personal wise, like they're both great guys. Like Coach Willard's, great. Coach Turgeon's great. I think they both really care for their players. They're, both players, coaches. And I think a lot of people say bad things about Coach Turgeon, but he was a great coach, and he did. He brought me in as a GA, and he brought me back as video coordinator. And then Coach Willard, like he could have let me go. He gave me an opportunity to stay on his staff, and even bumped me up to on-court assistant. So I have nothing but respect for both of them. And they both, I've learned a lot. Being able to work for two great head coaches and kind of learning their terminologies, learn how you do different things, and how Coach Turgeon did a thing, how Coach Willard did a thing, scouting wise. I will say Coach Willard, we do watch a lot more film as a team. We watch film before a game, we watch film at halftime. I'm always the one in control of that, so I'm always getting cursed out. But
You go like that? You go like that?
I mean, like I remember we played Alabama in the tournament, and I was trying to like, I mean, this is high pressure moment. Like, this is a chance to go to Sweet 16. We're down like
Hell
7.
yeah.
I'm like,
Trust me, you didn't want Brent to have the rock down 2 with a minute left, man.
An athlete pissed down his leg, froze up, moment too big.
That's what I'm saying. So I gotta make sure that film's working. I'm sure like Kev can kind of allude to it, like just having that film ready. I mean, I'm pretty sure like those SAC video coordinators, like those are high pressure moments. Like,
Hell yeah.
Mike Brown wants to watch, all of Steph Curry's, pick and rolls or whatever. You gotta have that.
I
shit.
had to bring up Steph Curry. Bro.
I'm just saying, for example, like you gotta have that shit ready. Like, so
For sure.
that's one way. They're a little bit different. And then even like with scouting wise, like with Coach Turgeon, we would do a lot of just like clip tapes. So like, we try to play Michigan State. It would be more just like watching personnel and then watching the offense or whatever. Whereas like Coach Willard, we're watching like as a team, like we might watch personnel plays, and then we want to come back and watch a game like as a whole team, and we're just like sitting there just like watching the game, and the scout coach is like going through like, hey, because like his biggest thing is like, and you guys are players, like when you're watching that clip tape, and you're like, all right, horns twist, horns flex, like you're like, what the hell, like you're not gonna remember those plays. So he wants you to kind of watch the flow of the game and kind of get like how the team is. So like if you watch the first 10 minutes, you'll get a better idea of who the team is, and rather just watching like a clip tape of 6 different sets. So
How they're playing, what they're looking for, all that.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, different ways that they're different.
That film, like all that film, that's also big, obviously, in the NBA. Like, I don't think we watch film at halftime in college, but you did say it. Like, there's NBA, we watch in film right before the game. It's on your phone on an app you're supposed to watch. At halftime, there's 5 or 6 clips. And it is like, it's kind of like being an NFL kicker. Like, you're supposed to have the film ready. You're supposed to make your kicks. And if you don't, that's the only time everyone really notices you.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn, yo, like, why isn't this film ready?
Exactly.
So you hate to see it. Hate to see it from the video guy.
I got one more last quick one for you, Brent. I think something that's kind of gone under the radar with this team is, and Willard alluded to it this week, is that it's been a ton of turnover. Like, Jameer came back, Juju's back, Dante's back, Jahari Long's back. I think those are really the only guys who played any sort of minutes from last year coming back. So a lot of new faces, freshmen, transfers, etc. And the offense has been a little bit clunky maybe as a result of just trying to blend in a bunch of new faces. What types of things can you say, do, work on as a staff to kind of help the group kind of continue to mesh together and get better over the course of the season? Because, the goal here is just to be playing better basketball in February, March than you are now. So what types of things, can you guys keep doing to help push us along in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, we just gotta make shots. I mean, as frank as that is, I mean, if you talk about like the offense being clunky or like the spacing. I mean, if you're shooting, I think we're shooting like 27% from three. Like, I mean, most teams.
27?
Yeah.
we can get an updated figure. We can get an updated figure. We're gonna play the guessing game again today, fellas.
We're gonna need an updated figure on that. 27 seems
optimistic.
But yeah, I mean, exactly. So I mean, like, if a team's shooting that low, like, I mean, of course the offense is going to struggle at times. I mean, we play Indiana, like they're sitting in the gaps. Like, teams are sitting in the gaps. Teams are doubling Jameer. Teams are doubling Juju. So I think once we start making more shots, that'll help as well. But like I said, like once our freshmen and like you said, like Jahari and even Jordan Geronimo, like he didn't play as much as Indiana, he's playing he's been playing really great for us. Just once they kind of get, up to speed, like I said, they're 10 games in. We played a really tough Davidson team. Second game of the year. You talk about a team. Talk about a bad matchup. Just a team that can really pass the ball, and they're setting screens, slipping screens, and you play like a UAB team that is playing a bunch of different zones and stuff like that. And, you can say what you want, like we were supposed to win those games, of course, but just, with the nuances of our team, the freshmen that we have, playing those games so early, and being able to have these, bye games, these home games, and, getting confidence and guys knowing the right space and then getting to the corners, getting to the wings, and, who's supposed to take what shot and who we're playing through. As we get more experience with that, I think like you'll see an uptick in the offensive numbers. You'll see an uptick in, our scoring outputs. Like we've scored 100 points twice, for a team that, doesn't shoot great. And I don't care who you're playing. Scoring, 100 points is, it's not easier. It's not. And I mean, we only scored 68 points against Mount St. Mary's, who's a team, similar to the teams that we've been playing. So, we've seen improvement in those areas.
Yeah.
Who's the best scout team you ever seen in your life? Who's the best scout team you ever seen in all your years around basketball?
It's actually crazy because we have a walk on now, Ben Murphy, and we've compared him to some of the they were asking her, is he one of the best walk-ons that we had before, and I was like, Now we had Reese, Travis, and Andrew, who were you guys were clearly by far the best walk-ons that we ever had.
Best shooters you guys have ever seen
in Division One.
Yeah.
Actually,
and then Reese, Mike Jones, like when our assistant on staff was giving us a scouting report about you in high school, and we couldn't believe it. He was like, "Yeah, Reese could shoot. Like he was knocked down shooter." I'm not saying
I couldn't believe it. You could. What you mean you couldn't believe it?
Like, that wasn't
That's all I used to do.
Yeah,
Reese's first shot in a Maryland uniform was 15 feet short. Remember it like it was yesterday.
So Mike Jones at the math said that like when he was preparing for you guys at St. John's, it was Anthony Cowan and then it was Reese Mona. And he was like, we could not let Reese get a shot off. And we're sitting there like, Reese, like, he's not a shooter like that. Not saying you can't shoot, but like he swore that you were like one of the best shooters in high school.
I know. I was a driver at Maryland. Y'all didn't trust my three ball. No, I shot like 42% from three in high school.
Sheesh.
Sheesh.
That's what a closer line does for you, fellas.
Close
I
line.
know. Bro, the second I got to college, we're shooting 2 feet beyond that high school line. It's different. And like you said, we've seen the freshmen struggle with that. Because I know if you look at DHS's high school, I bet he shot 36% from 3 in high school.
Yeah. I'm not sure the numbers, but yeah, it is a big difference. It's a big
It
difference.
also helps having a wall
Brent
behind
giving us a shout
behind
out.
the baskets.
Yeah, I heard somebody say that on the podcast about like the depth perception.
Yep, every high school gym is flat right behind it.
Yeah,
I loved shooting in high school. When I got to the big stage, man, I didn't shrivel, but I wasn't as good. I wasn't nearly
different.
As good.
Well, Brent
Eyes
giving
go a
us a
little
shout
wide.
out. We never really talked about Brent. Brent,
That's a hooper, man.
Brent's a hooper.
I was solid.
People forget.
I was solid. I still play a little bit in practice.
We seen some videos. So
Oh yeah. I did send you guys the videos.
I know
So
I made a
Brent-
joke about that earlier on in the show, but man, I'll let you know if you turned around and Brent was guarding you, you were toast. I used to always think to myself, it was almost as bad as when Kevin was being a crybaby a couple years back, tried to pick me up full court. But you turn, once you get that ball to break that press, and Brent's sitting there, and he's clapping, he's low to the ground, you're sitting there, you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm just giving it to the big. You dribble it up. I'll find it at the other end. Yeah, he was always special with it. Brent, I really appreciate you coming on, though. Talking about the Terps. We know you love Maryland. You're a Washington guy. You're a hooper yourself, so your insight is very helpful, in kind of deciphering exactly what we see on the TV compared to what you see behind the stage. And then, obviously going through 2 different coaches really helps, show fans, there are similarities, but there's a lot of differences, and you've seen both sides of it. So we appreciate you coming on and, saying what you need to say. And, you're always welcome on the old Terps podcast, brother.
Appreciate you guys having me on, man.
One hell of a guy. Let's start there. Just one hell of a fucking guy.
I never crossed paths with him, but it feels like everybody
you weren't there when he was there?
He came the year after. Everybody, every player, and all you get that spent time with Brent, like everybody loves him, which tells you a lot about a coach, because he's been put in a lot of difficult situations. He's kind of like that. The coach that the GA, the coach that a lot of players relate to. So he's kind of like the barrier between the coaching staff and the players. So he's kind of got to play both sides a lot. But it feels like he does it perfectly because 1, he's still there, and 2, all the players love him.
It's extremely rare.
He manages that fine line of like he'll listen to you, whatever it is you have to say. He'll talk you through things. He'll be honest with you. But the coaches love him too. He's done a really good job. And I think the other thing is just like he's that guy that if you want to work out at 5 a.m., Brent will be in the gym with you at 5 a.m. Doesn't matter if you're number 1 on the roster, 15 on the roster. He's a great asset to have in that program.
Yeah, and all the players trust him. All the coaches love and trust him too. It's impressive that he can do that. Like you're saying, he somehow has a foot in both the players and the coach's side. And yeah, Brent's a guy everyone loves and enjoys to be around.
That was one of the relationships that I thought that I miss, like about college, is your relationship with the managers, your relationship with the GAs, and then somewhat like the coaches. I remember especially like off the court, manager wise, like they're always, they're students. They're our age. They came in with us. You have a recruiting class of 3-4 guys. There was always usually 3 or 4 new managers each year that were in the same class. So you hung out with them a lot, but you learned pretty quickly like which managers were cool with the players and would keep shit silent. You have a little pregame before you're going out. You guys are maybe drinking a little bit. Who's not going to say anything?
Yeah.
And then which manager did the coach have under his wing that was like, what are the players doing on Saturday nights? Like those are the dynamics that were super fun to be a part of. That was like the little guy drama that way. Girls got all their little things going. Like guys, we were trying to figure out which managers were cool. And most of them we're not going to name some names, but that was always fun is having those guys in our corner.
We did have a pretty good group of managers, I won't lie. Like there weren't many mistakes made when it came to, but you are right. You always you just dynamics are fun like that, but you get to kind of watch, learn, and move forward. So here, let's quickly go over these next couple games for the Terps. First one is Nicholls. Okay, we're good. We're good on that. I think we're done there. And then UCLA. UCLA is after them. UCLA, I think, is a lot better than people think. A lot better than the record indicates, even though they just got, beat on a neutral to Ohio State. But I still think they're a lot better. They have a great coach who I think is very similar to Willard. I think Cronin is identical to Willard. And I think if you want to see who Willard could become with Maryland, I think you look at Mick Cronin and how he did it with UCLA, couple recruiting classes through the roof, almost a national championship. And then you have small lulls, but I do think there's a pretty good comparison there. What do you guys think about this game coming up?
I think he's cut from the same cloth as like an Izzo. Like he's screaming his head off on the sidelines. His teams always play super hard. But like these players walk off the court and they give that guy a hug, and you're just, like how does that dynamic work? You're in his face telling him that you're going to send him back home to his mom if he doesn't get a rebound, and the player's telling him he loves him. So I mean, I feel like that's giving me Izzo vibes. We'll see if Willard gets that level. In some ways, I don't want him to, but I don't know. He definitely is a good coach. He's UCLA. Their style of basketball is a lot different than the old UCLA.
What do you not want about the Izzo thing? You don't want a Final Four if you go there since 2000. You're in a Final Four guaranteed. I would have a Final Four if we had the Iz.
It's just very hot and cold. He's either screaming his head off or he's like not saying anything. So I always respected Izzo to the highest. They used to kick our ass. I'll say that. And teams always played super hard. And like I said, his players loved him. So I was always curious about that dynamic. But at the same time, it's like, Willard seems a little bit more mild-tempered. I think I would appreciate that a little bit more.
Yeah, and if you look at, you guys mentioned that Cronin and Willard are cut from the same cloth. They're kind of similar. They are friends. That's why they scheduled each other home and away. That is because they're both from the coaching tree of Rick Pitino. So they both coached under Rick Pitino and now are head coaches themselves. So you see they got a lot of that same swag to them, that confidence, that aggressive play that also stems from Rick Pitino.
I feel like we just did a big old stereotype. Bald, white, and out of nowhere they're the exact same coach. I feel weird about this. It almost makes me want to think we should cut the recording because this feels odd. Are they even the same type of coach or completely different?
Who made the comparison here?
I did. No, I feel bad about it. I feel like I just did something real. I mean, that's like saying Travis is very similar to RJ Barrett because they're both black and handsome. You know what I'm saying? Kevin, you're white chocolate, whoever that guy was, because you got red hair. I just feel weird about that. You know what I'm saying?
They both were under Rick Pitino. There you go. You have it.
I'd tell you what, though.
Thank you, Stack Guy. Thanks, Stack Guy.
Mick Cronin is one tough son of a bitch, and those teams play hard as nails. Like they get after it. Ever since you remember, like those Cincinnati teams he used to have back in the day. Like you were not. Those are some. They had some dogs on that roster.
Well,
I don't
do
even
you
know
guys
if they're
remember
basketball players?
Exactly. And do you guys remember what he told us in the offseason right before he got hired, or right when he got hired? He was like, "Man, all I care about is you're a junkyard dog on defense. You can shoot whatever shot you want, but besides that, give me, blank. Give me more effort on defense, and then you can pretty much do anything offensively." And then to Kevin's point right there, he was like, "Man, I actually can recruit, 4 stars and 5 stars, and I can get them at Maryland. I can get basketball players and then hone that energy on the defensive end and the offense. I think that's the comparison there."
So style of play, this is really setting up to be either really, really ugly or really exciting. Like both teams are gonna pressure the shit out of ball handlers Jameer is gonna see a guy full court. As soon as he turns the ball around, he's gonna have Brent Petty sitting underneath him. Can't get the ball over half court, a la Andrew Terrell. So this is going to be an interesting one. Who's going to make more shots in this game? Who's going to get to more shots? Or is this just going to be a turnover defensive fest?
I think to that point, I think it's going to be ugly because UCLA plays, I think, like the 319th slowest tempo in the country. So they don't get up and down, and they guard like hell. Like they're top 20 in the country in adjusted defense. Like they get after it. So like I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but if we're gonna win this game, fellas, we're gonna have to make a couple shots. Like not to beat a dead horse here. We talked about this a lot on the podcast, but listen, it's basketball, the name of the game. Put the ball in the hoop. Yeah.
But what's your line, Travis? What travels? Defense always travels.
I like guards.
You need to make shots. Kevin, you said it a little bit during the Kansas IU game. You texted it. You can't win at IU like that.
Yeah.
Where you're not making many shots, no matter how good your defense is. So you need to make a couple, which they did down the stretch. But, man, you just got to be within striking distance, which I think defensively, like Brent said, which shocked me. I actually didn't know that about statistically how well they were defensively. If you can just stay within striking distance, then it's just who has nuts, down the stretch.
Yeah.
So,
but it's going to be an interesting game because UCLA, I feel like, is a lot like Maryland too, just in terms of they've been weird all year. I mean, they go toe-to-toe with Marquette, lose by 2, and now they've lost 3 of their last 4, and that win is a 1-point win against UC Riverside.
Oh, so Jesus.
I think they're in the same boat as Maryland. I'm sure Cronin has been attacking them during this exam week. They're trying to get better. They're trying to find themselves. Both teams are kind of lost looking for a big win, so I think this is it.
Mick Cronin grabbing them by the jersey like this in practice, and he's not that tall, so he's like looking up at this. Like if you don't tighten them, I'm.
Yes.
Hey, can I also say this real quick? Trav's aesthetic with the lighting is incredible right now. I mean, it looks like Madison Square Garden, where he's got the light perfect on the court, but it's dark in the arena around him. I mean, dude, how much do you pay for rent? I mean,
I'm not at liberty to speak on that at this podcast and make a lot of people throw up.
You got a ring light?
No, it's a little funky little Staples. It's like
he hired a manager to just hold a flashlight during the recording the whole time.
This is my Super Bowl.
That rent must be expensive.
This is my Super Bowl.
Light. He's got the Staples desk lamp.
This guy, it's pitch black in the back of Reese's picture.
That's not even his house. There. Don't give him credit. That's not his house. That's his girlfriend's parents' house.
I'll be moved in soon, gentlemen. I'll be moved in soon.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Anybody else got anything cool about UCLA other than that? It's going to be a little bit of a similar matchup, a little bit of a dogfight. I wish this one was at home because I think we would win at home. I think this one's going to be an extreme toss-up with being that far away. But I do think it's pretty interesting that this is the new Big Ten. They're going to have to make this trip all the time.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that.
Trip to LA is never a bad trip, though, fella. It could be a lot worse than going
could be
to
a lot
UCLA.
Worse. But Kev, you could probably talk more about this.
You, Kev.
We never in college we never did a road trip like this in college. We had to go, different time zone and whatever. So you probably can speak a little bit to that as far as like what's it like when you're playing a game and it's 3 hours behind and all that. Like, we never did that.
It's definitely a lot easier to go west than it is to come east to play. When you go west, you get 3 hours back. So you have more time in the day, obviously. You come east, everything moves a lot faster. You take off there at 10 in the morning and you land here and it's like 9 o'clock at night. You're like, I just literally lost a day of my life.
Yeah.
So I don't worry about the time difference going there. I think if you're UCLA coming to Maryland last year, you'll be a little bit more worried about it. UCLA really notoriously, unless they're top 5, like they're not really known for their home crowd. So I don't know how much of a factor that plays, especially with the start that they've gotten off to, and it's winter break. Like, hopefully that takes some of that home court cooking out. But, they're going to go spend a couple days in LA. The guys are going to have some fun. Maybe they'll hit a nice restaurant or something, see some sunshine. But, we got to come away with a dub here. This is a big game for us.
Yeah, it is a big dub. It kind of defines the rest of our season, quite frankly. Big Ten play, you have enough games to be able to come back from it. But I do think if we could somehow get this W, it brings a little more excitement to the program, which you need going into Christmas time because you need fans to buy tickets.
Correct.
And that's very underrated where we have such a long winter term with the students. I think this could be one of those defining wins where people start buying tickets for, we do have a chance in the Big Ten, so we'll go to the game January 7th, instead of no free tickets to the students.
That is important because, not to look ahead, we don't do this. We got a couple games, but y'all know what our first Big Ten home game is right after the new year, correct? I think you guys have seen that schedule. January 2nd, 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
Purdue Boilermakers. Yeah. That is how we kick back into Big Ten play. So it's a very big game, right? You want to close the year on a high note. You want to make sure you're going the right direction heading into Big Ten play, because when we get back into Big Ten play, we are smack dab right in the mix.
Well, I would like it no other way. Anybody else got anything before I shut this thing down?
Quick, Gabe, we didn't do this. Game show again. What are we shooting from 3 this season now, updated, and what is our ranking in Division I men's basketball? Everybody gets a guess. Let's hear them.
351 is the total number, right? Let's just reiterate.
No, it's more this year. It's 361 now.
I said that first.
Okay. Yeah, he did. So we got 10 more teams this year.
362. Okay. I'll start it off. 24%, and I'll say 285.
Only based off of Travis's reaction, I'm going to go 305th, and because Brent said 27%, I'm going to give him a leg that he might know what he's talking about.
318th. I'm going with, Kev said 24. I'm going 25.
Okay. Bonus point. Reese, you got it. Kev, you were also right there. 25.5% from 3. Out of 362 teams in Division I, we are now 355th.
We're moving up.
What?
No, we are moving down.
355?
What?
355.
This is after going 45%?
Correct. Because remember, before that, we were 22%. It is us, Grambling, Coppin State, Rider, Navy, Siena, and IUPUI.
Shout out Siena. Jesus Christ.
The Naval Academy boys can't shoot either.
Too many ways.
Well, those dudes at least have an excuse. They're saving our lives. Good goddamn. Well, I'll say this. I appreciate you guys listening to this episode. We really liked having Brent on. If you need him, shoot him a DM, shoot him some hate mail. He needs it. He'll get a kick out of it. But other than that, we appreciate you guys listening. This is another episode of the Old Terps podcast. We will be back next week, hopefully with the dub out of LA. And quite frankly, I'll say this. I'm going to have another one hell of a weekend. Shout out to us. We're the best.
Yeah, gang.